Happy Good Friday and Selamat Ramadan. Is it correct? Today Good Friday kan?
Yeah, but we don't normally say Happy Good Friday lor.
Oh yeah. So what do we say?
Blessed Good Friday.
Yeah, we'll be talking about fasting this episode.
You're listening to
Jom Sembang, Malaysia. Alright, so Ju, today is Good Friday. And there's one thing that I wanted to chat about is because when I was working in the bank, I started fasting because Christian fast for 40 days before Easter, right? So I remember fasting and then my colleagues came over and said, hey, lunchtime. And I said, I'm fasting. And they all stared at me like, you Muslim ka?
Okay.
And I was like, no, I Christian. You know farewell, right? Then she was like, Christian also got fast. Do you ever get that before?
I don't fast very often, so no.
I think I was, then it was that episode that taught me, right? Wow, a lot of people don't know about, we just assume, or rather we all know that Muslim fast during Ramadan.
Yes.
But we don't really look at other religion or people like, do they do fasting? So I think that was one interesting topic to talk about.
It is. I think it's like that because the Muslim fast is a annual thing. Well, actually, Lent is also an annual thing, right? But it's quite public lah. There's the timing. People will have what's the morning one already?
Morning one, sahur.
Yes, you have that. And then you have the iftar, the buka puasa together. So it's very, very visible.
And they have the Ramadan bazaar.
Yes.
Like other festival or other religion or whatever. We don't have the Ramadan bazaar kind of
Correct.
thing.
And then you will hear it on the radio, this is the time for buka puasa and then kawasan-kawasan yang sewaktu dengan ni. It's like we all know that phrase. So it's common knowledge lah. But I suppose other religions is just not so out there in a sense.
Yeah, so for me, is from the episode, a lot of my friends felt that, fasting is a very Muslim thing. So I said, well, in my mind, it never occurred to me that way.
Yeah.
So when I started to share about how Christians also fast, maybe not just 40 days before Easter, we also fast for our nation 40 days.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. They went like, so tak ada, how say, they cannot comprehend it. Because Muslim go like, Ramadan, fast. Christian is like, suka hati kau bila nak fast.
It's not so prescribed lah.
Yeah.
Right? I think, okay, so if you're talking about the 40 days, like right now, it's overlapping, right?
Correct.
The Lent season, 40 days.
Which is nice to talk about it now.
Yeah. So the difference would be most people when they fast for Lent, they still drink lah.
Yep.
So for me, right, I think the toughest part lah about puasa, the Muslim way, is the no drinking. I still cannot fathom like, wow, I very hormat lah how they all can don't drink.
Yeah, I think there was those who are really, how to say, not critical, the more advanced one, like really serious, right? Who don't even swallow salivas.
Wow.
Yeah.
This one you cannot mention. Once you mention already, you feel like you want to swallow. Yes.
But yeah,
Gulp.
and then after that when I was explaining, so I said, Christian, maybe you fast food, but you can also fast stuff like your favorite hobby or pastime or get rid of addiction. Let's say you're addicted to YouTube, then fast YouTube and stuff like that. Suddenly it's like a whole mind-opening conversation. I remember sitting at the food court and having that conversation for like an hour plus, which I thought like, quite interesting. I've never
Talk about this before.
I didn't know that it's not common or no
Ah.
knowledge lah.
Yeah. So I know that among Christians now, it is quite common to not fast from food, but fast from social media. Right? So you mentioned YouTube, but social media on a whole, I think it's also the reason lah. Okay, so let's compare, right? So the reasons Muslims fast, and I double check with ChatGPT just to be sure.
Don't introduce her to new things, man. I introduced it to her once, right? She used it for quite a
lot
few
of things.
already.
Yes. But yeah, so it is for purification, self-discipline, and in solidarity with the poor, the people who have no food to eat. So for the whole day, while the sun is up, I am living in solidarity lah with you. So I don't think the Christian one has a solidarity aspect to it that much, but it's more of making time from things that will distract us from God and from spiritual things.
A bit like a sanctification
kind
of thing.
Kind of so similar, but not entirely the same. And also to make time to pray lah. So the things that take up your time, I suppose, like we say, right? If you are just fasting and you're not praying, because it always comes for the Christians, it's like fast and prayer, right?
Correct.
If you're fasting and then you're not praying, then you're just dieting lah.
Betul juga. Especially now we have this called intermittent
fasting.
fast.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, when we get back, maybe you can share with us what is your first fasting experience in life.
Wow. This episode is brought to you by 2105 Productions. Now, if you're looking for a place to do podcasts like us, call JD, look them up they're everywhere. Twitter, Facebook,
Yeah, but you must say
Instagram.
21 and then that 05. 21:05. That's what you should be searching for.
Wait, is it colon or semicolon? Anyway, it's the 2 dots lah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're looking to record a song, a demo, yeah, you can do it here too.
What? Make music while we fast. Okay, back from the break. Now, Ju, what was your first fasting experience?
You know what's funny?
What?
I actually don't remember my first fasting from food experience. So it wasn't very significant to me lah.
Okay.
But I remember last time it was more like maybe skip lunch, skip one meal. But what I do remember very, very clearly was the time that I fasted from pop music.
Tell me about it.
So for
someone like you to fast music.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It was one day, I think I was a teenager at that time, and I still am very into, like that time more lah, right? Very into pop music. I would listen to, revealing my age right now, but a lot of MJ, a lot of Whitney, a lot of, that time who else Yeah, mainly those my staple diet lah, and the others yang sewaktu dengan ni lah, right? And at one point I just felt something in my heart say, Ju, will you stop listening to pop music? And I'm like, why is it wrong? Not wrong lah, just because lah. Then I'm like, okay lor.
Okay lor.
Okay lor, just like that, right? And,
so easy one, okay lor.
I don't know lah, teenagers, you know. So I remember I swapped with a lot of, I suppose, gospel and then praise and worship music. Stopped listening to the radio for a certain period of time. I cannot remember how long it was. And then after that, I just felt like, okay, it's time to go back to just listening to whatever you like to listen to, you know.
She has been sanctified.
I don't know.
Wait. Hold that thought a while. So when you're fasting, right?
Yeah.
Then if someone come over and say, hey, this is a new pop song, what do you feel?
I don't know. I don't remember. The funny thing was, at that point of time, it didn't occur to me that I was fasting. It was just stop listening for a while.
Okay.
You know, but now looking back, it obviously was a fast.
Okay.
But interestingly enough, right, after that, I began to appreciate what I listened to a lot more. As in, how to say, I'm more sensitive to the lyrics. Like when I listen to a song, I feel the entire message behind
That's
the song.
That's the result of fasting from something that we have too often.
Yeah. So that was a very, very special experience. I don't know whether I will ever do it again, but it was a very, very good experience for me.
Yeah, I think it was interesting because just now I asked you the question about the new pop song and everything. It's because there are, you know, right? I write Malay books for a living,
Yes.
right? So I have quite a lot of fans or readers are all Malays, right? And then when we puasa, I remember somehow pausing during Ramadan. I said, I want to post my lunch. But then a lot of my followers are fasting. Should I post or don't post? And it became like when did this become a thinking point? You know?
Yeah, actually I do that too, right? It's like, but people fasting, but you know. And so the other day I was at a function, graduation function or something, and then there was food served after that. So we were talking. Hey, come eat first lah. And then amongst us there was a Muslim, right? And suddenly there was this a little bit of a, awkward, like, oh, but no, let's finish our discussion first. Oh no, let's eat first. Then he was like, no, please go ahead. No, like, don't let me stop you, right? But I think sometimes we, on our own, maybe have that kind of inhibition, like, okay, but then, I don't know.
Like,
is it
to
like
be the considerate person,
is it kind of like don't do to others what you don't want people to do unto you? But if you were fasting, you wouldn't want others to be awkward about it, right?
Correct. Actually, I would say that I've never thought about it until there was 1 year that meletup in social media. I say, why you all posting food to tempt us lah, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, ya ke?
Then that was when the next year I started to be very conscious about it. But in my mind before that, it's like, you fasting is your personal thing, then, you shouldn't hold it against the world for tempting you lah. Because there was no intention of going like, here, eat. It was just a normal post that can be misinterpreted based on your point of view,
I suppose lah. But yeah, in my circle of friends, I don't think anybody has had that kind of sentiment.
So I
Please
actually,
just go ahead.
what I did was I talked to my fans. Actually kau orang ni okay ke if I post food or something? Because I also don't want to assume.
Yes, sure.
Then after that they say, actually we think about food all the time because we're thinking about buka.
What to
So
buka.
please give us ideas. Then I'm thinking, okay lah. So it's really depending on the person's intention or whether, stance about stuff like
That's
that.
right. So that is why conversations are important lah.
Correct.
Sometimes we think it's taboo to talk about these things, but seriously, if you just actually ask a friend about, a lot of things, I mean, you can even talk about LGBTQ with a friend, and you get a perspective from them that sometimes in our own blinkered,
assume were.
you don't realize lah. So talk about it lah. That's why we have this Jom Sembang, right?
Yeah, that's why we talk about it. So I also want to recap that fasting is actually something that's very personal. Or it should be a personal thing lah. Otherwise, like, why do you bother doing lah? I mean, some religion comes with you should or you must. But at the end of the day, taking it as an opportunity to just make it personal, a personal journey, then the intention is very important because it affects your consequences and your outcome and the people around you who don't trigger you. It's really your interpretation of things.
Yeah, it should be something that comes from the inside lah, right? So even if it's a prescribed thing in your religion, that actually helps, right? Because there's a start and end point.
Correct.
And okay, it's not like, okay, Sukati, I'm going to do this, or when I'm going to fast from what. Sometimes that's just the decision. It's just too many options, right?
Correct.
But when okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to fast from exactly what, it just helps us with that self-discipline, self-control, and there's people doing it with you. That's the best thing, right? Imagine your whole family on board with you.
Yeah, at least you can go to Bazaar Ramadan to berbuka.
Yeah, so having that as a structure is awesome, but it makes it special only when we're doing it because it comes from the heart lah, because I know why I'm doing this, and I'm gonna do my best to do this.
Very well spoken.
Thank you.
So now I shall wish all of you out there selamat
berpuasa. Jom Sembang Malaysia is hosted by two Malaysian friends who are passionate about Malaysian stuff.
Stay tuned every week for a brand new Sembang session with Juwita Subito and Gina Yap Layung.
Today's episode is recorded at Studio 2105.
Remember to click like and subscribe for the latest episode release.